What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Teed Up. I'm your host, Pierre, Pee Wee the Plug Andreessen. I am excited to be back. Last week, we took a week off, had to do a little New York trip, but I'm excited as ever. We got a lot of basketball to discuss. The season, is getting closer and closer and closer. We got preseason basketball. We already got some rumors and reports and everything that's going on. And unfortunately, a couple days ago, y'all did not get y'all weekly fix of numbers on the board on Tuesday. So a lot of y'all hit me up over the last couple of hours or whatnot, telling me that y'all are highly anticipating this episode to discuss a few topical things. The first thing out of the gate that we have to talk about is the LeBron James retirement, whatever you want to call it, that a lot of y'all fell for. I want to say this. I publicly decided not to be that person, right? Because I feel like anytime something like that is happening, there's always like this group of people that go on Twitter like, y'all so stupid. But in my mind and privately to people that I spoke to, I was kind of like, there's no way people think that this is going to be a retirement like announcement. It's LeBron James, the biggest name in sports over the last, I don't know, 23 to 25 years. And y'all think that he's going to sit down first and foremost with a person that none of us knew who that person was sitting across from him. Like I remember all of the comments when he first posted, it was like, who's that guy? Who's that? When LeBron James announces his retirement, I don't think we're going to have to say who is that guy he's sitting down with. Number one. Secondly, with LeBron James being the business man that he is and just the business in himself, I don't think that he's going to use Instagram and build up their platform with all of that traction to announce his retirement. I do believe it's going to be on Spring Hill Entertainment, I Am Athlete, The Shop, Mind the Game, whatever is. Y'all know how LeBron is. Him and his team, very calculated, very business oriented. His retirement announcement is going to be extremely calculated, and best believe the traffic that it generates will recycle itself into whatever he owns or has his hands in. And I'm not mad at him for it, but it was so crazy to see all of everybody like thinking it was a retirement situation. Now, I am going to say I didn't know it was going to be a Hennessy ad. Like I watched it and was like, yeah, LeBron ain't retiring. Not like this. This is crazy. But then I went to wake up and see like it's a Hennessy ad. I was kind of like, oh hell no. This is actually kind of crazy. Um, so yeah, I feel kind of bad for those people who bought all those tickets the last game against the Jazz. And I think the Lakers kind of owe LeBron some money. They didn't give him his extension. He's on the last year of the player option. I think the Lakers got to let him plant a tree and get like 50 M's because the amount of money that they just made over the last night or so from him giving this cliffhanger of an ad drove all of those last game of the season ticket sales through the roof by thousands. So shout out to LeBron. Um, Relieved that it ain't a retirement announcement. I think we got another 7 years of Bron. This is year 23. He'll retire in year 30. It'll be 2032. So yeah, we got another almost decade of LeBron James. So don't get too happy thinking the GOAT or the GOAT of this generation is exiting anytime soon. Other news around the NBA. The Knicks, Giannis Antetokounmpo. This was something that was heavily talked about all yesterday. I could not avoid this conversation as much as I wanted to. Everybody knows I'm a big Knicks fan. I love the Knicks. I love the Knicks. I love the Knicks. And who doesn't love Giannis Antetokounmpo? Wake up. Shams drops a report. And I'm not going to lie. Shams, you're my brother. I love you. Always great to see you whenever we cross paths. Dog, don't ever. I'm going to stare right to camera. Shams, don't ever drop a breaking news report like that and it's not news that Giannis is a Knick. Y'all don't know. I woke up at like 9:45, 10 o'clock, and that was on my phone. And I saw like break-in and like Giannis and Knicks. Like I was kind of half asleep. And I'm like, bro, ain't no fucking way we just traded for Giannis Antetokounmpo like on this random, what was that, Tuesday? On this random Tuesday or Monday morning. And then I like hurry up and open my phone and it's just a report of like, yeah, over the summer, the Knicks and the Bucks engaged. on a Giannis Antetokounmpo trade because New York is where Giannis wanted to go if he was going to leave. And I'm like, oh my gosh. But my thoughts on this situation and that report is very simple. Giannis, as much as I love him, and as much as I support him, I think at some point he is going to have to really stand tall on his decision. I've been saying this for a while now, mostly on numbers on the board. Giannis is extremely loyal to Milwaukee, as he should be. He grew up there. He became the player that he is now there, and a tremendous story that I think a lot of us have like rooted for and championed. And to see him find out what a smoothie was all of those years ago, and to eventually evolve into a MVP, Finals MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, to bring the championship to Milwaukee, he deserves a statue. I think Giannis and Nikola Jokic are two of the players in the NBA right now, and LeBron James as well, where like I think they should have statues while they're playing. Like if I own the Bucks, I would honor Giannis and everything that he's done already by building him the statue while he's still playing. You get what I'm saying? Like I just think that that's like the biggest salute or like gesture that you can do. We're gonna Most people have to wait for their statue 15 years after they're playing. We're gonna give it to you right now while you're still playing in the league. And I think again it's beautiful. But the Bucks over these years, some of it is due to, things that Giannis wanted as well. They've kind of fizzled out as having this incredible team built around Giannis. And every time a microphone is around him, or every time somebody has a notepad around him, Giannis does not hesitate to put the idea of him being elsewhere in the minds of people. And then on the other side of that coin, though, Giannis also remains extremely loyal to Milwaukee and like does this thing where he makes it as if everybody else is tripping for thinking he should or is going to leave. And that's my only thing. Is it sometimes kind of feels like a contradiction because it's like I love Milwaukee. I want to stay here. I'm in a community, but then he'll go and then say like, but I know the franchise gonna have to do what they got to do. I don't want to leave, but I know they're gonna want to trade me one day. It's just like they're never gonna want to trade you, Giannis. They're never gonna want to trade you. You're just one of those talents where no franchise is going to want to have the shame of trading that guy unless they have no choice. But if Giannis is waiting for the Bucks to trade him, he might as well get the idea out of his mind of playing elsewhere. He's hit that territory of LeBron. He's hit that territory of Nikola Jokic, of what like Mike. I'm not calling them all the same player, but I just feel like there's even Kobe with the Lakers. There's certain players that franchises have for a certain amount of time, and they don't want the title of being that team or franchise that traded X player. So like it's not that the Bucks would never trade Giannis, but it's that for them to trade him, he's going to have to go out of his mind or like go crazy to push himself out of that situation. Same thing with Cleveland, same thing with Miami and like the Lakers with LeBron. No team ever wants to be the team that traded LeBron. So LeBron would have only gotten traded in his career if he demanded and did everything in his power to be traded. If that makes sense. Same thing with Kevin Durant. A lot of those teams, I before Phoenix, a lot of teams never wanted to trade Kevin Durant or get rid of Kevin Durant. But it's like when you force yourself, that's the only way we'll do it. Steph Curry, the Warriors would never trade Steph Curry. It don't matter how bad things get over there. They're only going to trade him if he demands a trade. I think Giannis is in that same realm with Jokic and everything like that. And he's going to have to put his foot down. And so when I see reports like this, I got a lot of Knicks fans hitting me up, my stream. One of my guys, Muse, shout out to Muse. He was super adamant, like, man, P, you see the report, like, I know you're not heavy into reports. What about something like that? And I'm like, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer. I don't want to be a party pooper. But that report was nothing but a report. And if you read in between the lines, one of the things that stood out most to me as a Knicks fan who isn't trying to fall into the hype of we're going to get Giannis, we're going to get Giannis. Because as a Knicks fan, we were supposed to get Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Zion Williamson. I've been down the rabbit hole of getting my hopes up of what talent is coming to New York. And right now, we have a really good team, a team that looks like it could head to the Eastern Conference Finals and maybe the NBA Finals. So I'm going to enjoy that team and not get distracted with potentials and maybes and, hypotheticals, because there's no point of it when you have a really good team. But Sham said in that reporter article that at one point, the talks never got super serious because the Bucks never felt like the Knicks were putting together their real offer, and the Knicks never thought that the Bucks were actually trying to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo. So when I read an article with all of the hype and all the oh my, what does this mean? And I see that part of it, it kills the whole thing. It kills the whole thing. So my advice to other Knicks fans, fellow Knicks fans, that's just background noise. It's interesting for sure. Peek at it, look at it, read it, see what it is. But once you get those two parts there, there's nothing else to really talk about. And there is a report that came out yesterday saying that Giannis and his agent, they're going to look around the NBA and see what teams are realistic landing spots for him, because it seems like they're bracing for the Bucks to not maybe have the greatest start to the season, which is kind of disappointing because I did have interest in seeing Giannis, like with a chip on the shoulder, carry a not so talented, not so hyped up Bucks team after the last couple of years. Those Bucks teams were really hyped up because of the Damian Lillard, Giannis Antetokounmpo duo. I was like, man, maybe Giannis coming into the season fully healthy, understanding the type of team he has, can really just drag this team through a weaker Eastern Conference this year. But with all of these reports and everything kind of coming out of left field, right field, I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucks had a shaky start. I wouldn't be. But I do at the same time think Giannis Antetokounmpo is just too good for this team to ever slip and fall too far down the standings, especially when you talk about a Celtics team that won't have Tatum, a Pacers team that won't have Halliburton. You know what I mean? All of those different injuries that are impacting the Eastern Conference. I think the Bucks can still see light at the end of the tunnel for having postseason success, or at least getting to the postseason to potentially have success. But to wrap all that up, Giannis, if you want to leave Milwaukee, if you really want to go somewhere and have a chance to win, you deserve it. That's how I'll end this. I think Giannis has seen the reaction to the Kevin Durant situation. I think he's seen the reaction to LeBron James leaving Cleveland. And I think he's seen some of the love and, the feeling around like a Steph Curry staying there, or obviously he's a big Kobe guy who stayed with one team, the Dirks of the world. And then you have this new situation with Dame, where Dame left Portland just to not have any success in Milwaukee, tear his Achilles, and then go back. And now it's kind of like he should have never left. If you want to leave, Giannis, you gave Milwaukee everything that they can ask for. If you want to leave, if you really look at this team and you're looking and not even just this year, but you look at the next 2 years and you feel like there's just no realistic opportunity or scenario where this team could legitimately put a contending team around you again, nobody in the NBA will be upset for you if you chose to play somewhere else. If you felt like there was a better situation for you to compete and win, everybody in the NBA would commend you for it. Because again, the things that you were able to deliver to Milwaukee has not happened in my lifetime. And you have earned the right to do whatever you want to do. That's how I'm going to end it. We love Giannis. I just want him to stay 10 toes on either staying or leaving, damn it. One or the other. But I love Milwaukee. I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. I'm in there with the community. And then it's like, yeah, the owner said y'all met and had a great conversation, and you gonna retire or whatever. And Giannis like, I don't remember that conversation. It's just like a tennis match back and forth. But shout out to Giannis and shout out to my boy Shams, because that report further solidified for me as a fan outside of my job that the NBA is back. The NBA is back. Preseason basketball has been popping off. We've seen the NBC Peacock like score bug people was talking about. We got overreactions on Twitter. I'm seeing somebody have a good game and it's like, oh my gosh, could he blah 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 blah. I'm seeing people have a bad game and it's like, oh my gosh, that they like for instance, Lonzo Ball, I think Lonzo Ball didn't make a shot last night for the Cavaliers, if I'm not mistaken. And I've seen people on Twitter like, oh, and it's just like hashtag is just preseason. Say it with me, y'all. Hashtag is just preseason. I know the thirst, the excitement of the season being literally right around the corner has us so on edge to overreact to every single thing. But we have to remember it's just preseason. With the NBA season right around the corner, with everything underway, underset, the main part of the show, we have predictions. In front of me, I have predictions for every single award. I have my first, second, third NBA, all NBA teams. I have my first and second defensive teams. I have my first and second rookie teams. And then I also, if we have time, if it's even worth it, I got some standings. Now, I will say the standing things I kind of threw together. It's very, very hard to predict standings. If we'd have did this show last week and I would have did this episode, I would have probably had the Grizzlies a lot higher. But then what ends up happening is 3 days after you find out that Ja Morant has an ankle sprain and he won't be there to start the season. Like, we're at a point with the NBA where these injuries are just rolling in and rolling in and rolling in and rolling in. And there's so many teams that's dependent on if this guy is going to play, is he not? The 76ers. The 76ers could be in the playoffs. They could be in the lottery again. The Pelicans, they could be close to the play-in. They could be down at the bottom in the lottery, depending on what goes on with Zion. Is Kawhi playing a full set season, more than 30 games? Is he going to play 60 games? If so, the Clippers could be a home court team. If not, the Clippers could be outside, 5, 6 outside of that home court realm. So that was the hardest thing with the standings. But the best part is right here, the award predictions. Let's dive right into it. So for every single award, I have who I think is going to win, and then I have a dark horse. I did this method because I feel like some of these awards, the guy that we all think is going to win is so obvious. It gets boring, it gets repetitive, but I can't go against the grain because somebody is so good. So to make it a little spicier, we added the dark horse. So I'm gonna go from the bottom up. Started from the bottom, now we here. Shout out to Drake. Coach of the year. I think the coach of the year will be Mike Brown. And it's not because I'm a biased Knicks fan. It is because I am buying a little bit into what I've seen with the preseason games, though it's hashtag just preseason, some of the scrimmages from Knicks practices. I think Mike Brown has a chance to take a team like the Knicks, who were really good last year, and have them be better. I wouldn't be surprised if the Knicks won an additional 3 or 4 games while looking like a legitimate team who's moving the basketball, who's solidifying themselves at the top of the Eastern Conference. I also think outside of Mike Brown, he has a lot of things going well for him. This is the second year of a core with Brunson and McHale and OG and Cat. Mitchell Robinson will be healthy at the start of the season. You have the added additions of Yabusele, Malcolm Brogdon, Jordan Clarkson. I just think that this team is a lot better going into the season this year than last year. I think roles are going to be a little bit more solidified. I think there's more depth and, again, a little bit more familiarity. So for him to have that while also bringing in some new offensive punch, some offensive flow, and I think we might be getting a 2 big lineup. We might get Carlton Town and Mitchell Robinson as our starting lineup, which would have, Josh Hart, Yabusele, Jordan Clarkson, and a Malcolm Brogdon type player off the bench with my boy Deuce McBride. That's a very loaded stack Knicks team that keep the team fresh, keep us rolling, and allow us to be able to ease through and coast through a week in Eastern Conference. And I think that allows Mike Brown to have a clear-cut runway for a coach of the year type situation. I look at the other candidates around the league as well. I think it's going to be hard for Kenny Atkinson to top last year's Cavaliers team, right? I think Mark Dayton, it's going to be tough to top 68 wins. And so a lot of the other teams, They would have to be a lot better than the Knicks or what Mike Brown is doing. And it's always that first year buzz. JJ Redick obviously could get some love there. Jamal Mosley, there's a chance that him and Quinn Snyder of the Hawks could shoot up because those teams look to have an improved year as well. But I ultimately decided to go with Mike Brown because the Knicks could be the best team out east this season. My dark horse candidate for Coach of the Year, Joe Mazzulla. There's a lot going on with Boston. There's a lot of roster turnover. Jason Tatum will not be here to start the season. There are some reports because we've seen how he's been moving on his Achilles, and he is doing some unprecedented things with his Achilles rehab and return. But ultimately, I think the Boston Celtics still have enough to be a solid Eastern Conference team, and I could see them being as high as 5 or 6 and being like legitimately in the playoff race and not even a play-in team. Peyton Pritchard is still here. Derek White, Jaylen Brown. I like some of the added additions of like an Anthony Simons coming off the bench for them. Chris Boucher. You have Neemias Queta. There's some things here that I still like. And I think there's some roles that could open up that could allow some other guys to be some contributors. And I do believe that Jaylen Brown is going to come into the season with a chip on his shoulder. I've kind of heard him speak about it. Shout out to Jaylen Brown. He's been doing a lot of streaming. And I think the streaming from some of these NBA players allows us to kind of get some insight on their mindset. Like, I was thinking to myself, the Celtics could can this year. Like, they could just say, like, hey, Tatum is hurt. Brown had a knee procedure. We're a little wacky, so we'll just fold the hands. I heard Jaylen Brown say in like his press conference and I think in one of his streams, like, I've never missed the playoffs in my career. And so that made me say, like, oh shit, like, yeah, that's a good point. Like, guys still have a chip and a desire to go out here and compete and play and win. Now he could say that, and then 2 months into the season, his organization and the higher ups could be like, yeah, we don't give a damn that you made the playoffs every single year. This is going to be the year you won't make the playoffs because we have bigger fish to fry. But just that psyche of, I haven't missed the playoffs in my career, knowing how Peyton Pritchard is, right? Because Peyton Pritchard always has a chip on his shoulder. Peyton Pritchard, I'm always bringing this up. Peyton Pritchard requested a trade after they was in the NBA Finals. He said, I don't give a fuck about winning. I got a point to prove, damn it. And I kind of respected it. Normally, if you hear some shit like that, you're like, damn, he's selfish. But it's like, nah. When he broke it down, I felt him. Anthony Simons at his, what was that, media day presser. He was talking about being on a team that's going to have expectations, looking to be able to play on a higher level because he's never had that opportunity. He's played in Portland. Right? He's aware of what they say about him defensively. So is Joe Mazzulla. He's going to be pushed and held accountable, and he's around a high-quality basketball team. So, dark horse, again, that's why we say dark horse, because I know a lot of people are going to come in the comments, so they're going to say different things, and they're going to say, my dark horse for Coach of the Year is David Adelman. It's like, well, he's not a dark horse because the Nuggets are probably going to be the second best team in the NBA or the Western Conference. So I don't know if that's really a dark horse. But Joe Mazzulla fits the dark horse mold for us, and I'm ultimately going to go with Joe Mazzulla. This is not gambling advice either, y'all, because I know some of y'all are going to watch this and write it down and be like, man, P, I'll put a slip together on all your dark horses. Do that on your own will. This is not me giving y'all gambling advice. The next award, Clutch Player of the Year. My outright pick is Luka Doncic. I think the Los Angeles Lakers, for the last several years, have been a team that's been in a lot of close games. They have enormous comebacks. They blow enormous leads. And Luka Doncic is a guy that you can trust with the ball in his hands, and he's going to make things happen. And I just feel like this feels just like a great year for Luka. All of the hype. I think it was on the cover of like Men's Health. He lost all his weight, got in shape. The way he was playing in Eurobasket was extremely exciting. And yeah, like I said, the Lakers, since LeBron has kind of been there, they're that late game at night when you've watched 4 or 5 games already. And now it's 11:30. You're getting in bed, but you want to watch the last half of the Laker game. Luka is going to be the one there. hitting the game winner step back over this player or that player. And it just seems perfect for Luka to win that award. My dark horse kind of coincides with my coach of the year. I got Jaylen Brown. I look at this roster with the Celtics, and it's, I think, a solid roster. I don't think it's phenomenal. I don't think it's great. It has some holes. Obviously, it has a lot of turnaround, some new faces. So I think they're going to be in a lot of close games. And because they play out there in the East, I could see the Celtics and Pistons having a close game. I could see the Celtics and the Pacers. You know what I mean? Like, I just think there's going to be a lot of close game opportunities for the Celtics being in that tough, gritty Eastern Conference. And I think Jaylen Brown is going to be able to have a, a chance to show some of his clutch gene and have some moments where he's taking over in those fourth quarters or in those clutch time moments. And then he could snatch that award. I don't know if do we look at Jaylen Brown as a clutch player? Like, what's the perception of Jaylen Brown? I wish I had my guy Christian here with me. I know he's in the background doing this thing. But like, yeah, y'all let me know in the comments. What is the perception of Jaylen Brown with clutch? He's like a player that I don't really recall hearing his name too much. Some players, people are like, he's not clutch at all. Some players are like, he's super clutch. Jaylen Brown, I just don't really feel like I know people's perception of him as a clutch player overall. But I feel like this is a year where we be able to find out a lot about his game in the clutch. Sixth man of the year. I think DeAndre Hunter should run away with this award. He would be my pick, hands down, an easy pick. This is like if I was gambling on any of this. Again, this is not gambling advice, but if I personally was going to use any of these awards to put like a bet in or something like that, I would probably go DeAndre Hunter. He would be one of the safer ones, in my opinion. Obviously, knock on wood, want him to be healthy. Felt like he was a guy that could have won it last year. I think the first full year with Cleveland, as good as this team is, he should be able to step right in with that second unit and just get buckets. Just get straight buckets. The one thing I will say about DeAndre Hunter is because of the Max Strus injury, does he start games? Does Lonzo Ball start games? I would hope that Lonzo starts or they figure something else out there so that DeAndre Hunter could come off the bench. He's one of those guys that he just feels better with him coming off the bench. I think they did that last year. They traded for him rather, excuse me. He started the very first game, and then quickly they was like, nah, we like you off the bench. It feels a lot better having that scoring punch come off the bench. My dark horse for sixth man of the year, a little different. Not your typical microwave scorer, not a guy that's going to come off the bench and just take all type of, green light jump shots or anything like that. But Tari Eason. And I like the Tari Eason pick here. I don't know how popular it will be, but I like it because I think Tari Eason could do a lot off the bench for the Rockets. I think he could be a spark plug. I think the things that he does defensively, I think the rebounding, the versatility, guarding up, guarding down, pushing the pace with different turnovers. And you remember him and Amin Thompson last year, the start that they had when Amin was still coming off the bench. They were the Terror Twins, just wreaking havoc. I still think Tari Eason can do that alone coming off the bench. And I think that's a mold of a player we have to start appreciating a little bit more in the NBA as far as a six man, right? Like, I think historically we like to look at the six man award as that guy that comes off the bench and just gets straight buckets. Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams, J.R. Smith. But I think it's always been important to also have Lamar Odoms, who can come off the bench and just do whatever you need. Oh, we need rebounded, I'll go get 8 rebounds. We need a little bit of scoring, I'll get you 15 to 16 points. We need some defense, I'll play small ball center. You know what I mean? I'll go guard this guy who has been cooking the first unit. Those Swiss Army knives coming off the bench, impacting the game in all different type of facets, I think we have to start looking a little more into around the league and give them a little bit more love because they're just as valuable, in my opinion, as those microwave scorers. I love the microwave scorers too. That's why I got DeAndre Hunter. But it's something about a Swiss Army knife, Bruce Brown with the Nuggets when they first won that championship. Just being able to come in and fit the mold of whatever the team needs at that particular time. I like, and I think the league is gearing more and more to that. You know what I mean? Like my boy Nick Clifford for the Sacramento Kings. I think Nick Clifford could easily be one of those guys early on in his career while Sacramento figures out what direction they want to do or how they're going to, reassess his roster. Nick Clifford is a guy that can come in and he can be a microwave scorer. He can come in and score. He'll come in and get 9 rebounds, 7 assists, guard a few different positions. So Tari Eason, Swiss Army knife, 6th man of the year, dark horse pick for me. MIP, one of the awards that I think is like the 3-point shooting contest of All-Star Weekend. And what I mean by that is all my life when I was a kid, the dunk contest was the All-Star Weekend festivity that everybody loved. It's what you gathered around the TV for. But now the 3-point contest has become that thing. I think MVP and Rookie of the Year has always dominated. But I think the MIP award is becoming people's favorite. I hear about this award a lot in conversations. Like I'll go in a barbershop or I'll go on Twitch, I'll go to my DMs, and it's not always like, who you think the MVP is going to be? Who you think the Rookie of the Year? It's like, who's your MIP pick? Like people love that MIP, most improved, especially when it's a guy that comes out of nowhere, like Julius Randle from a few years ago, Larry Markin and all those years. Like people love that. We do have the situations where Ja Morant wins it, right? Like we have people who are like, man, I want Cade Cunningham. Like we have first overall picks winning it and different things like that. But for me this year, I think the best pick is Andrew Nembhard. I think Andrew Nembhard is a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. I felt like that for a while. I've been a big Andrew Nembhard guy since he was at Florida. And to see the player he's become in the NBA after all of these years has been a sight to see. And to see the playoffs be a stage that he's at his most comfortable says a lot to me. And I think he is a guy that lives up to every moment. And I think this upcoming season in itself is a moment for him. Not having Tyrese Halliburton, I think he's going to be in his natural state, which is an actual point guard, right? He's such a talented ball player that he conforms his game a tad bit to coincide with such another great player like Tyrese Halliburton, which I respect because Tyrese Halliburton is one of those guys, right? But now I think Nembhard is going to be his natural self. This is who I became a fan of the first time I ever seen him play. All of those years ago at Florida, he was a freshman, 6'5", 6'4" freshman guard. I think it was him, maybe Scotty Lewis in the backcourt there at Florida. And he was surgical. He was surgical then. He was super surgical. I got a tweet that like, hey, FYI, that Andrew Nembhard kid at Florida, I just that dude can play. And I think we saw some glimpses of that in last year's playoffs and this past year's playoffs. The big shots, the moments, off the dribble, playmaking, defending. And now he'll have a full 82-game season and 82-game stage to put it all on the display. He still is going to play with Pascal Siakam. He's still going to have the fast tempo, the three-point shooting with Aaron Nesmith and Benedict Mathurin. And he's going to be able to, shoot a few more shots his damn self. So Andrew Nembhard, I think, is an incredible pick right there. But then my dark horse is a guy that I think a lot of us have kind of forgotten about. And this is what injuries do. And this is why we talk about the league being so talented, because there's so much talent that if a guy does miss 50, 60 games, you can't forget about him. Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller of I almost call them the New Orleans Hornets, of the Charlotte Hornets, I think has a really good chance to come and steal the MIP award as a dark horse candidate. Why? Because he was playing super, super confident and super well before his injury. The fact that he got hurt kind of put him as a afterthought to a lot of different people. And I think he can come onto the scene and get right to it and put up some crazy scoring numbers and have people like, oh, shit, Brandon Miller, like, before he got hurt, he was taking major strides and showing us that he is, like, legit. He was killing. Him and LaMelo was like, really, really killing. And that's the most unfortunate thing for the Hornets is the health part of it, because they have two guys that they were missing last year that would help them get a bunch of more wins. I love the offseason that they had, the draft with Kalkbrenner and McNeely and Knipple and going out and get the Colin Sexton and everything like that. Like, they had a really good offseason. But they have to stay healthy. And if they do, I could see Brandon Miller easily becoming a name that people falls in love with again because this is a wings league. People love wings, and this is a guy that is going to run and gun, can score. He can take big shots, make big shots, play from the perimeter. Brandon Miller, I just haven't heard about him from a lot of people since he got hurt. I feel like he's been forgotten about, and people will come back to falling in love with Brandon Miller. Rookie of the year. Again, don't be mad at me for the obvious. Cooper Flag. Like, Cooper Flag is so comfortable out there as a rookie, as a guy who should be entering college right now. I seen his preseason game, and that was the number one thing I took from it. I wasn't looking for scoring. I wasn't looking for box score numbers, anything like that. Just the way he held himself, the way he was out there, he was super, super comfortable, and it was so impressive. I was very impressed with the feel and the passes, and he took some shots that he didn't make them all, but I'm like, okay, like I'm feeling it. Like I like this. I'm there's no hesitancy. There's like a reassuring. Like if I was a Mavericks fan, I would be like, damn, like we really got Cooper Flag. You know what I mean? Like I think it's really impressive when players of that magnitude at that age in that situation, because he's not going to play with the Wizards. No shot at the Wizards. He's not going to play for the Nets. He's going to play for a team that's trying to make the playoffs. Right? Jason Kidd's job is on the line. Anthony Davis is on this team. Kyrie Irving is expected to rejoin this team. This team has shit to do. So I don't know if Cooper Flag is going to get the training wheels, babysit, handcuff, coddle type thing this year. Now, he's going to have a lot of leeway because he's fucking Cooper Flag. But a lot of these other guys are going to be able to go out there and just make all type of dumbass mistakes. He won't be able to because he's going to have to go back to the huddle and look at Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson, and all of these veterans who are still playing for something. And it's going to be a little different. And the way he handled himself in the time that I saw him, just on the floor and presence, right? Things that you can't pick up from in a box score. It had me like really excited to see what he's going to do and be able to do on this team. And I love the situation that he was able to get drafted into because I think this is 10 times better than seeing Cooper Flag, quote unquote, rock out. I love players getting their own team. I love building blocks. I love Cade going to Detroit and being able to prop Detroit up now as a playoff team. So I wouldn't have mind Cooper Flag in a Brooklyn Nets uniform, and he's the savior. But I also ain't mad at him going to a playoff team and having to be a contributor to a playoff team out west with all-star, all-NBA level players and kind of having to fit and stand out at the same time. Like I like it. And so yeah, Cooper Flag. Love the comfortability and the reassurance in himself out there. He looked like a legitimate number one pick who knows he's going to be an all-star one day. A lot of guys at that age, rightfully so, start to overthink, start to have some doubt, and it can show on the floor. In that game, it didn't. Now, does that mean it will never happen or never will show in this upcoming season? No. But still, dark horse rookie of the year, Nick Clifford, Sacramento Kings. When I first did this, I wrote VJ Edgecombe, and then I reminded myself, hey, dog, there's no fucking way VJ Edgecombe is a dark horse rookie of the year. That was dumb of me. So I'm going to redo it and go with Nick Clifford. Again, I think the Sacramento Kings have a lot going on there, right? DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis. But because they're out west and because so many teams got so much better, I think the Kings are still going to struggle. Now, on paper, they're not a team that you can go in and just like walk over. Like, right? Zach LaVine could have a 35-point performance. DeMar DeRozan could put 33 on the board. Sabonis could get a triple double, and you could lose, right? Malik Monk could give them 30. Like, they have guys who ain't gonna just roll over and let you win, but they also don't have a team that all fits together and can check so many boxes to really win consistently on a night in, night out basis, in my opinion. Even some of these teams that I project at the bottom of the standings, the 9th, 10th, 11th team, I still think that they could be better than the Kings. Like, I don't think the Kings are better than those teams, right? Like, I'm not sure that the Kings will be better than the Suns with Devin Booker and Dylan Brooks, right? And Jalen Green. I don't know if the Kings are going to be better than that team because a lot of that seems like it meshes more. There's a chance. And with all of that said, I could see the Kings kind of having roster turnover during the season. I could see Malik Monk being sold for pennies on the dollar at the deadline. I could see Sabonis and the Kings coming to an agreement where it's like, yeah, it's best for us to part ways. Where would Sabonis go? I have no idea, but I remember the end of last year, Sabonis was saying that he and his team need to meet with the Kings to figure out the future of the Kings so that he can make his decision properly after the De'Aaron Fox trade. And then obviously, Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are not long-term building blocks for the Kings. And when you talk about building blocks, they don't have any, right? Like Keegan Murray, I guess, is a small piece of the core for the future, but I don't even know how they feel about Keegan Murray based off the last couple of years, right? So I could see them having a lot of turnaround and a guy like Nick Clifford just having a bunch of opportunity and just spazzing and showing his ass because he's ready to play immediately. This is not a 17-year-old prospect. It's not an 18-year-old one and done guy who is going to need development. This is a guy who is in his grown man body, played a bunch of college basketball, high level basketball, and was dominant in a lot of different facets. And I believe he will be able to go out there in Sacramento and show that, especially if they have a tough start to the season, if they have an injury, any of those things that can open up and provide him even more opportunity. He is a guy that I could easily see people saying, damn, how did he fall? How did, like, man, good, the Kings finally got a little good pick. I could see that. Like it feels like we're headed that way. So watch out for Nick Clifford. Again, dark horse pick. Dark horse pick. Because there's also a world where the Kings are just extremely average. They're not god awful. They're not really good. They're just an extremely average team. And they're still allocating 35 to 38 minutes to DeMar DeRozan every night, 35 to 38 minutes to Zach LaVine every night. Malik Monk is getting almost 30 minutes. And then there's just kind of nowhere for Nick Clifford to play. That's also, again, a reality of it. So we'll see. Down to some of the last most popular awards. Defensive Player of the Year. Again, I apologize for the boringness and the repetitive picks. Defensive Player of the Year, Victor Wembanyama. I mean, what do I say? The guy had the award wrapped up last year before he got hurt. They're saying that he's not even 7'3" anymore. He's being listed as 7'5". He's going to block shots. He's going to deter everybody from coming into the paint. He's going to be able to cover so much ground and so much floor for the Spurs that, like, it's hard for him to not win it. He should win the next 4 in a row if fully healthy. Like, it's just that simple. But my dark horse, because I love guys who can guard the perimeter in a perimeter-centric game, Asar Thompson. Based off what Asar did, and some people might see this and say it's not a dark horse. It's a dark horse to me because the bigs win this war so much. You got the Victor Wembanyama's, and it feels like if Vic not gonna win it, Evan Mobley could do it again. Jaren Jackson is always in the conversation, even though he'll be hurt. Anthony Davis. Who else there's got to be Rudy Gobert is always in the conversation. Draymond Green. Those bigs are gonna dominate it. So that makes me feel like Asar somewhat is a dark horse. And again, I think we have to do a better job in our game propping up the perimeter guys. Like Marcus Smart can't be the only perimeter defender that has a DPOY in the last however many years because there are so many incredible offensive players. You know, Asar has to guard Luka, Shea, Brunson. Like, and don't get me wrong, it's not to tear down the centers. They have a lot of responsibility, and a lot of these centers anchor these great defenses. And if that's the case, centers are supposed to win some. I'm not saying take away every center Defensive Player of the Year award. I'm just saying some of our perimeter guys that are out there guarding their asses off need a little bit more credit. What Dyson Daniels did last year was phenomenal. Phenomenal. We look at what Lou Dort and Caruso, like those guys. Chet will be probably in Defensive Player of the Year conversation as well because he's another one of those bigs. But, not wiping away my big fellas. I'm just saying show some love to the perimeter defenders just a little bit. Just a tad bit. Just a little bit. And then last but not least, the most valuable player in the NBA. My dark horse I'll start with first because it's something I've said a bunch of times. Trae Young. Trae Young, I think, has an incredible opportunity here. He would have a great story. I think it would be a nice narrative of like redeeming himself. You know, all of the snubs, the USA snub, the All-Star snubs, people thinking he's overrated, the most overrated player in the league, all these different things. So for him to be able to then come out and lead this Atlanta Hawks team, who had one of the best off seasons as anybody in the entire association, he's going to put up the numbers, right? Trae Young is a walking 27 and 12. Just like flat out 27 and 12. He gives us 27 and 12, and his team is winning 55, 57, 58 games because they have Porzingis, because Jalen Johnson is healthy. You have Dyson Daniels back, all defensive. You went out and got Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Luke Kennard. You still got Antetokounmpo. Like, this team, Zachary Rich, I say, year number 2. This team has a lot, man. They have a lot. And again, the Eastern Conference is a little vulnerable this year. They shoot up the standings. If they catch, it's always that surprise team. The Hawks could be that surprise team out east. All we talking about is the Cavaliers and the Knicks. Cavaliers and the Knicks. The Hawks shoot up and win 58 games and are the number 1 team out east or the number 2 team when nobody was expecting it. And Trae Young is giving you 25 to 27 and 12 or 11. I could see the conversations being had. So Trae Young is my dark horse MVP for sure. For sure. And then my outright pick. This is hard for me because there's a lot of good candidates. Shea could do it again. Jokic could do it with the team that they have out there in Denver after the incredible offseason that they had. Anthony Edwards is my pick. That Timberwolves team, they lost Nickeil Alexander-Walker. That's going to be a big loss for them. But I still like what they have. I think Mike Conley is still able to hold it down just a tad bit for what they need. I love Dante DiVincenzo. Terrence Shannon Jr., I think, could step up and fill some of the Nickeil Alexander-Walker void. Nas Reed, Julius Randle, Rudy. I really like what the Timberwolves have going for them. And I think Anthony Edwards, being the battery on this team, could still allow them to see high-level success out there in the Western Conference. And if he's able to get this team to a 3 seed or something like that, with all of the numbers he could put up, and I think this is somebody that the NBA and the fans are waiting and wanting to see take the award away. Like, I believe the last couple of years, he was a very popular pick. So I think Anthony Edwards could definitely come out and snatch this award. All NBA teams. We could fly through these a little bit. There's no dark horse all NBA teams. My all NBA first team, really simple. Keep up with me, though. But it's very simple. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, and Anthony Edwards. Usual suspects, they're going to do it again. Plain and simple. Shai, you can pencil in Shai, Giannis, Luka, and Jokic. You just pencil them in. That 5th spot, will it be Anthony Edwards? Will it be Victor Wembanyama? Will it be LeBron or Durant? Could it be Curry? You know what I'm saying? Like, could it be Brunson, Cunningham? Like, we'll see. But pencil in those 4 names out off the top. Second team All-NBA, Jalen Brunson, Cade Cunningham, Victor Wembanyama, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. I think all of those are very reasonable and realistic due to all of these guys being on teams that I think will have some really good records at the end of the year. And then last but not least, my All-NBA third team, Donovan Mitchell, Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, which means he has to play 65 games. Wink, wink, Kawhi. I'm rooting for you. Paolo Banchero and Anthony Davis. If Kawhi isn't going to play 65 games, then I think we could see like a Jaylen Brown or something like that. But I'm going to give Kawhi the benefit of the doubt and say that he goes out and plays 65 games to be able to be eligible to get the All-NBA third team. All-defensive first team. We got the Thompson twins. Both of them make the first, like, that got to be some history. They both make first team. Victor Wembanyama, Dyson Daniels, and Evan Mobley. All-defensive second team. Jalen Suggs. I think that Magic defense is going to be really good, and I think he's going to be the quarterback of it. pun intended, because he did play quarterback in high school. But I'm so excited to see Jalen Suggs back on the basketball floor. That's also us saying that Jalen Suggs is going to be there and available to play 65 games, right? Like, we're wishing health on a lot of people. We're wishing health on the Magic. We're wishing health on the Clippers, the Pelicans. We're wishing health on everybody around the association, because we want to see some of these names on the floor and producing for their teams. So we got Jalen Suggs, Lou Dort, Rudy Gobert, Anthony Davis, and I know y'all gonna love this one, Donovan Clingan. I got Donovan Clingan in his sophomore season making all defensive second team. I love Donovan Clingan. He says he's ready to play more minutes. I can't wait to see it. This dude is legit. I think he's going to block 1,000 fucking shots. He's going to have that Portland Trailblazers defense even better than what it was last year to close out the year. And I think they're going to have a really good defense. Clingan, Tamani Kamara, Drew Holiday, they're going to set that tone. And then even some of the other vets that they have, like a Jeremy Grant, Matisse Thybulle, I think will be able to defend. Denny has always been a really good defender. So I think this team in Portland is going to be really good, and Donovan Clingan will be able to make the all-defensive second team. And then last but not least, our all-rookie first team and all-rookie second team. First team, Cooper Flagg, VJ Edgecombe, Trey Johnson out there in Washington filling it up, Ace Bailey, and then Dylan Harper. I'm not going to lie, I wanted to take a couple more risks, but I was like, I'll play it safe for the first team. And then all rookie second team, we got Con Knipple, Colin Murray Boyles, Yegor Demon. I think is going to put up some really good stats for the Nets, just some nice moments and stats. The jump shot might still take a season or two to really get there, but Yegor Demon might be fun out there in Brooklyn with Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr. He wants to pass, they want to shoot. Match made in heaven. And then I have Dominique Clifford sneaking in for the second team. And then I have Yang Hansen. I did want to put Cedric Coward out there, but ultimately he did not make it. And those are my predictions for all of the awards and all of the first, second, third teams for every team that we have out there in the NBA. Let me know what you agree with and what you disagree with. I want to hear some of y'all all defensive. No, and I'm sorry. I want to hear some of y'all all NBA teams. I think all NBA was one of the toughest ones for me. I would also say Dark Horse MIP and Dark Horse Six Man was tough for me as well, because it's such a long list, right? It can go so many different ways. So definitely get active in those comments. I'll be checking the comments. You might get a response from me. You might get a thumbs up. You might get a get the fuck out of here. There's no way he's winning this award type comment from me. Last thing I'll do real swiftly and real quickly before we get up out of here is I'll just talk about some of my standings prediction. I think you take this with a grain of salt, because so much has to happen for these teams. And I was talking to Jeremy and Christian before we started recording. Like, I know people love doing standings predictions, and I'll do it to have fun. But it's like, I'll talk about a couple teams, like the Clippers. Like, I think Kawhi is super dependent on how far they can go and how high they'll be. The Mavericks, when is Kyrie coming back? Is he going to come back? I heard Kyrie say it's not 1,000%. He'll have to see how he feels. They're going to take it very slow. The Pelicans, Zion Williamson, what is he doing? We go out east. It's like the Celtics. What's going on with them? Are they folding? Are they going all in? The 76ers. So ultimately, my number one team out east is the Thunder, followed by the Nuggets, the Rockets, and the Timberwolves. Those are the top four teams out west for me. The Thunder at 1, Nuggets at 2, Rockets at 3, Timberwolves at 4. Those will be the home court advantage teams out west. After that, we got the Clippers at 5, Lakers at 6, Warriors at 7. This is where it gets extremely tough for me as well, because I got to this part and I said, damn, the Warriors would be 7. And then I said, no, that can't be right. And then I looked at all of the teams above them and I said, damn, no, it has to be right, because which one of these other teams do I want to switch with the Warriors and make 7? I don't think the Lakers would be the 7th seed. I mean, 6 is damn close. I don't see the Clippers being a 7th seed. The Timberwolves, nah, I don't really. So it's like, damn, the Warriors really could be the 7th seed. And sometimes, like we saw last year, especially out west, a lot of these spots in the standings, they're decided by half a game, 1.5 games. It's very close. Very, very close. So those are my legitimate teams. And then at the play-in, I have the Warriors at 7, Mavericks at 8, Spurs at 9, and the Grizzlies at 10. They would round out the play-in and the playoffs there. Hoping that the Grizzlies can get it together to get some type of wins because the injuries are already piling up for them. That's one of the main deciding factors that has them so low. And then to finish out the Western Conference, we got the Suns at 11, Pelicans at 12, Blazers at 13, Kings at 14, and the Jazz at 15. Even that, I was like, damn, are the Kings going to be that bad where they're 14th out west? The roster doesn't look that bad, but then I look at all the other teams out west, and they look to be better on paper than the Kings, fully healthy. And it's like, damn, the Kings could be the second worst team out west. Real quick to wrap up the episode, out east, our top 4 teams, home court advantage in the playoffs: the Cavaliers at 1, the Knicks at 2, Hawks at 3, Magic at 4. I think the Orlando Magic are going to be too good defensively to fall too far out east this year. You know, what I have to worry about the Pacers and the Celtics as an upper echelon team. I think what the Magic do defensively is going to set the tone for them to just have a lot of success. And then the cherry on top is going to be the offensive firepower. Now that you went out and got Desmond Bane, you'll have Bane, Paolo, and Franz. I think this team could be legit. I think this team could get even as high as number 3. Outside of this top 4, we have the Bucks at 5, Pistons at 6, Celtics at 7, Pacers at 8. So the Celtics and the Pacers, they still make it. They're in the play-in, but they still position themselves in the standings to be respectable and to be able to sneak into the playoffs one way or another. On the outside looking in at 8, you have the Raptors at 9, Hornets at 10. Yes, I think if the Hornets are healthy with some of the additions that they made, I could see the Hornets being 10. And then at 11, we have the Bulls. At 12, we have the 76ers. At 13, we have the Wizards. And I'm sorry, at 14, we have the Wizards. And then at 15, we have the Nets. I think the Nets shape up to be the worst team out east. I think the Wizards are right there with them at 14. And then, yeah, I think that the Philadelphia 76ers will be forced to can their season with no Joel Embiid and no Paul George to start the year. And I think VJ Edgecombe, Tyrese Maxey, Justin Edwards, all those young guys, they're going to make the 76ers say, you know what, just let these guys hoop. Just let the young guys go out there and play. There's no sense of us trying to force ourselves into the playoffs when we can let these guys develop. And yeah, that's a wrap for our 2025-2026 NBA predictions. Again, y'all make sure y'all get in the comments. Let me know what you agree with, what you disagree with. And don't just tell me you disagree. Tell me what you would have had for your MVP. Tell me some dark horse picks. I'm not looking for gambling advice, but if it makes sense, you never know. Somebody may cash in off one of the predictions y'all have. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. This is another great episode of Tee It Up. We got some special things in the works that y'all will be seeing very, very soon. I'm extremely excited, and I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm out. Peace.